And I'm sure you all know that this is 100-year anniversary. This bridge cost us $1,300 to build back in 1906. I don't think I could get some paint on here for $1,300 today. We also have, I want you to know, if you didn't know, that this is the last standing fully operating bridge in Oregon, and it's the oldest extant bridge, as they call it. Covered bridge in Oregon. So we have a big piece of this pie. Is this bridge is really a part of our transportation system, and Marion County has a little bit of a unique transportation system in that it's not just roads and bridges and this nice 100-year-old one here, but we also operate 2 ferries in the county, and Canby has a ferry, and makes them a little bit unique as well. But that's our transportation system. It is unique to Marion County. And now I'd like to introduce our chairman of the board right now, Kevin Cameron, to have a few words about our illustrious bridge. Thank you, sir. Like 2 sentences.
Okay. Well, it's a great day to be out here. Before I even say anything about the bridge, the car that my fellow commissioner came over, that green car, was built in 1906, so that car is 110 years old. The bridge is only 100 years old, so we're celebrating the birth date of this bridge with some automobiles that are even older than the bridge that's standing behind me. It's pretty amazing. I want to say something about our Public Works Department. First of all, Alan, thank you, and all the Public Works people that are here and those that aren't even here that not only maintain this bridge that's behind us, but the over 1,200 miles of roads in Marion County, the bridges that we need for our roads to get our farm products to market, and our Public Works Department. And we want to say thank you to you, Alan, and for your leadership, and for the Public Works people here that maintain bridges like this, and some that we need to rebuild, but you keep them going. So thank you very much for your support. So a little bit about this bridge that I know of. It is Oregon's oldest covered bridge in continuous service. There may be an older bridge, I think it's over on the coast someplace, but that bridge has actually been moved onto private property and is not on a public road. So this is the oldest bridge, covered bridge in Oregon, that is still on a public road, that Marion County residents and people come from all around the country to see this bridge can drive through on a public road. So that's a significant thing about this bridge. What I also learned about covered bridges was the reason they're covered is maybe we need to go back to that to make our bridges last longer than we have today, because it was really to protect the infrastructure of the bridge from rotting from the rain and the weather that it would get. It would last many, many years, probably 3 times or 4 times longer. And one of the Public Works people was just telling me they didn't have real good inspection systems back then. They just drove until the bridge fell down, and then they knew it was time to build a new bridge. So we know now today that we inspect our bridges quite often, and we're safe to drive across those bridges. The other thing that I think is important to remember, and I think this is probably one of the best parts of this bridge, why it got its name, from what I understand, and probably there's some historians here that know it even better than I do, but I think it was back in early 1900s, Mount Angel voted to, the state went through this, local, whether you wanted to serve alcohol or sell alcohol. Mount Angel voted to have alcohol, Silverton said, no, we're not going to have any alcohol. And like other things in life, it was illegal to sell the alcohol, but you could sell the gallon glass container and give them the alcohol free. So people would drive over here to this side of the bridge, and there was somebody who had a little store or something built here. And actually the bridge was a little bit up before the flood, and they would get their gallon. Who knows what was in that gallon? A little white lightning or something really good, but that's the story behind its name. And we have a historical day today. Somebody asked what the birth date of the bridge was, because somebody was celebrating their birthday today. It's May 31st, 1906. The bridge, we're going to say that was the 100-year mark, because that's what we're celebrating today. So I want to say thank you for being here today, and thank you again, Alan, for Public Works and all the people that made this, keep this bridge going over the last, well, Alan, you've been around that long, 100 years. So I think Sam's been here that long, and Janet. I do want to point out there's a few people in the audience with us today, some local elected officials. You already know Commissioner Brentano is there, Sam, and Commissioner Carlson. Where are you? Back in the shade, okay. Two great people that I get to work with day in and day out to help make sure Marion County is doing the right things for our citizens. Representative Vic Gilliam. Vic, I think you're in the back there. If you can raise your cane, right? There he is. Vic, thank you for being here. His wife Becky's with him today. The Mayor of Silverton, Rick Lewis. I saw you, Rick. Rick, thank you for all you do. And you're on this side of the bridge, so you can fill your gallon up and then go back to Silverton, all right? Although you have the Gallon House downtown Silverton. I've been there before to make sure it's a good spot. Counselors from Silverton, Dana Smith. Dana, back there. Thank you, Dana, for being here today. And Jim Sears. Jim, who was one of our great Public Works employees over the years as well. Jim, thanks for being here. And also, I think from Mount Angel, we have Counselor Carl Bischoff. Is Carl here? Okay, I didn't see him earlier, so he's not here. But thank you to the public, the elected officials, and all the media that's here taking great photos. Mark from CCTV and others. So great day. Alan, I think you got something else to say? Yep. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now I'd like to introduce Norm English, the past president of Silverton Historical Society, who said he has a few or maybe many words to say. Thank you, Norm.
Thank you, Alan. Well, I won't have a lot of words to say, but anyway, I wanted to interject in this proceeding today a bit of a personal note or a family note. This story has been going through the years for basically as long as the bridge is here. If you build a bridge, you got to build a road to it, and that's where my grandfather Willis O. English comes in. He was the Marion County road foreman for District Number 13 from 1916 to 1920. And the year was 1917 when actually the road on the Silverton side was constructed. My father was 8 years old, and the reason I mention that is that Willis, my grandfather, was keenly interested in World War I at the time. It was going on, and he wanted to read the newspaper while he had his lunch. Well, my dad's chore in all of this was to bring the newspaper, the Oregonian, the lunch, and hot coffee, because my grandfather always liked to have coffee with his lunch and being able to read the paper. There was no thermos available at that time, and so my grandmother would make the coffee as hot as possible and send my dad off on the run to bring all of those items to his father for his lunch. Well, it seems that the closest way of getting to the work site was across 3 different pastures. and each of those pastures had a bull in residence. So my father, being an 8-year-old boy, could run pretty fast, but he had to make sure when he stepped on the wire fencing, it would make a creaking sound and it would alert the bulls, so that he had to run fast to get across that pasture, and on to the next one, and on to the third one, and through to the work site. My dad always surprised himself about how fast he could run, and he never did get caught by those bulls. Was able to get under or over the fence in time. So, and it was only about a mile actually from their house. They lived over on the Mount Angel Highway, which was a dirt road at that time, and about a mile over to the work site here on the south side of this bridge, and Hobart Road, which is the road that intersects with the Gallon House Road back here, only went as far as the bends in the road there. It didn't go all the way to Mount Angel Highway, so the closest route to the work site was across those pastures. Dad spoke fondly of his experiences in those days, and he always spoke with pride about the work that his father did on the roadway. During the 1950s, on a personal note, I recall walking out here from North Silverton, where we lived at that time, a number of times to this bridge, and Dad always spoke very fondly of this bridge and the road work that had gone on. Not long after the roadway was built here, in fact, the next year is when the roadway from Bethany out to the Abaquaw Bridge on the Mount Angel Highway was gravelled, and my grandfather also had a hand in that. So that's kind of a personal story of the roadway leading up to this bridge. Thank you very much.
Well, my name is Hugh Wilkinson, and I am a recent retiree from Marion County. I worked for 31 years for Public Works, and 21 years of those were as the bridge foreman.
Tell us about this Gallon House Bridge and how Marion County has brought this bridge into keeping it in such good condition.
Yeah, well, it's just like anything else. The older things get, the more maintenance they need, and the county has been pretty good, as far as I know, about doing the maintenance and repair that needs to be done. They made a commitment to keeping it open to traffic, which is a really good thing. You know, most county bridges or most covered bridges aren't open to traffic these days, so they did a lot of work and a lot of expense into keeping this bridge open to traffic.
Tell us a little bit about the structure of this bridge.
Well, you see, it's a basic house covering, and what this is interior, the structure of it is a timber truss. It's known as a howe truss. There are different types, but you see all these timbers that go back and forth. They all support each other and hold the structure up, especially since it is a long structure with no center supports. So all the weight of the traffic and the structure itself is all supported by the interconnection of all these timber beams here. Just like any other steel truss you see, it's all the pieces. You can see they kind of lean and lock into each other all the way down. So that's how it's supported.
Tell us about these 12 by 12 beams. We can see what they connect to in the howe truss above us. What do they connect to? What's the structure look like beneath us?
Well, one of the main elements of a truss is the upper and lower. They're called cords, and you see from this one that they're three pieces bolted together to make one massive beam, where the loading is carried through the main beams. It's transferred down through these, and then it's down into to the lower cord, which is another. You see, this is probably nearly 2 feet worth of timber when it's all together. So it's the mass of the timbers which really are able to support the weight. And then we also got these rods, screwed rods, which also are connecting It's almost like in a suspension mode at that point, because part of the load, upper load, is suspended through these rods down through into the lower chords.
So what's the future of this bridge now? It's 2016. It's 100 years old. It's in great condition.
Well, the future should be really good. They're doing a good job of keeping it up. The major rehab they did around 20 years ago made a big difference. There was a lot of significant structural problem with this bridges, and they addressed that. So I would think for another 30, 40 years, it should be in pretty good shape, you know, just with little maintenance problems here and there that'll have to be dealt with.
Thanks, Hugh.
Sure, I'd be glad to help you.
Okay. So now I'd like to ask the commissioners to come up, if you wouldn't mind, over to our kiosk. So our sign shop produced this, and thanks to Jolene Kelly for allowing us the use of a very nice cover. I will. On your mark. 1, 2, 3. And now, rededicating to the Gallon House Bridge 100th anniversary. 1, 2, 3. Very good.